Welcome to another edition of Business Today, the first one for 2021. We, the team here at Channel I and Business Today, greet you for this new year and wish you a productive and prosperous new year. Now, of course, 2021 brings about new set of opportunities, new set of challenges. Because of last year, I think it was a tough year for a lot of the business community. We hope and actually wish you that 2021 offers you many more chances to grow your businesses, start out and flesh out your ideas, and of course, best of luck for 2021. With that, we will start today's edition and get into the segment. We have a great segment planned for you. If you have some wealth, if you have acquired something along the way in your businesses or in your professional life, you want to invest it. To get this advice, we have brought on an industry professional, a familiar face to Business Today viewers. We have brought on the Chief Operating Officer of NDB Wealth Management Limited, who he is, and about him, I think a lot of you would know, but it is always useful to get those information at first. So we'll have some background on him before we chat with him.
Mr. Ruwan Perera is currently the Chief Operating Officer of NDB Wealth Management Limited and the President of the Unit Trust Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. Ruwan holds postgraduate diplomas in Business Administration from the University of Colombo and Corporate and Strategic Finance from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Sri Lanka. He holds a Masters of Business Administration in Finance from the University of Colombo and a Master of Arts in Financial Economics from the University of Colombo. He has also participated for executive programs at Harvard Business School and Indian School of Business. He is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants of the United Kingdom. Mr. Ruwan has over 20 years experience in a variety of streams in the financial sector, including primary dealer and fund management industry in Sri Lanka.
And Mr. Ruwan Perera is back in the studio again with us. Great to have you on, sir.
Wish you a very happy New Year and for all the viewers too.
Yes, New Year's greetings, I think. We'll start off with that, of course, 2021, new year, I think. Anything of note? It's been a couple of days since the new year started.
Yeah, I think the stock exchange, the Colombo Stock Exchange passed 7,000 mark today with 7 billion turnover. So I think it's a good start for the year.
Looking up from, I think, a tough last year for everybody.
Yes, tough last year, but I think the stock market did pretty well last year compared to previous years.
Yes, and now this brings me to my question about your experience in the industry. Now, of course, you are here representing NDB Wealth Management. You are the CEO. So what is a wealth manager?
Okay. NDB Wealth Management, we started in 2009 under NDB, but the company is old, like it started in 1993. So it's almost 28 years. When we started the company, we had about 24 billion assets under management, and we were basically, our core business is managing unit trusts as well as managing private portfolios. So from there onwards, over the last 10 years, we've converted that company into one of the forces in the financial sector, or to be the biggest fund management company in Sri Lanka. Today we have close to 180 billion assets under management in terms of total assets, as well as we manage in the unit trust side, we manage 90 billion assets, and we have the largest fund in Sri Lanka as well, close to 80 billion. So we basically manage other people's money. It can be high net worths, it can be corporates, or it can be a small time investor or a normal person. So we have two services technically. One is private portfolio management, that is for high net worths and for corporates, large institutions, and we manage largest number of private provident funds in Sri Lanka. And then in terms of the unit trust segment, that is basically for more retail, but of course we have high net worths and corporates. We have all segments in the market, in the society, investing in that. So what we basically do is we try to identify financial needs of a person when they want to invest, and then we consider various factors. We sit down with them, we try to understand what sort of risk appetite that person might have, what sort of liquidity requirements will have. So based on that, we will try to advise where to invest to maximize their returns. So the idea is, what is best for the client, not what is best for us. So that's been the success of NDB Wealth, because right throughout we haven't advised because that is going to benefit for us. We'll always look at from customer's point of view and see what is best for them and what will give maximum return to them. And if, for example, sometimes the client may not come to us, but we make sure that they get the best advice. So that's our thinking and vision. So, and that has been successful, because when we started, we didn't have retail force. We were basically like a back office. We were focusing on institutional money. Over a 6 to 7 years period, we built a sales force of 40 people. Basically, when we started, we had only about 20 people. Now we have 80 staff. So which has created jobs, because unit trusts were considered as an industry that was not vibrant or moving on. But we've changed that attitude. We've changed that force, because we use technology to fit into the operations, maximize the efficiency, and to take it forward. So, and in fact, we are going to use more and more technology to make it more efficient and give reliable services, as well as to give clients the best service. That's the vision. So, in terms of, our track record has been is evidence for what we have done for the clients, because more and more clients come to us.
I think success is shown through the people who are happy with their service.
Yes.
So that is a great thing to say. Now, of course, you mentioned about a little bit of example where someone who comes in, you look at their circumstances. Say it is a mid-level businessman who has, somewhat doing all right now, because he doesn't have to concentrate on the business. All his money isn't going back into the business, and he wants to invest, and he comes and sits down with you. What are the things that you ask of him first?
Okay. The first thing is, we say what is his objective? What kind of a time horizon they want to invest? They are looking at. First thing. Say maybe you have, say, X amount of money, say 1 million rupees. We will ask, if you park that money today, how soon you want to take it out? Maybe it's 1 year, month, whether you want to take it in week, 1 year, 5 years, what kind of time horizon you look at. The second thing is, the most important factor is the risk, right? Because a lot of customers, a lot of investors who come or who will want to invest will want to have the maximum return that is possible to be taken. So, and especially today's environment, very difficult to get double-digit returns, 10% and above. So because currently interest rates are low, so people always will ask, okay, can I get 10%, 20%, 15% return? So then the question is, what kind of risk you can take? Okay, because if you increase your risk, there's a possibility of getting higher returns. But if the risk comes down, then the returns also comes down. So that has to be enough. For example, you might want to have 15% return at these current levels. Yeah. So the second question I will ask, if you put that 1 million, would you want to have the same 1 million, or if it comes down to 900,000 or 700,000, can you afford to take that kind of risk? So the common answer is no. I want to have at least that 1 million that I've invested, because the Sri Lanka, and especially in the Asian countries, what's common is they want at least the capital that they have invested, they want it back without getting in return. Yeah. So the most important thing is to understand. So because sometimes some people might say, okay, I want to invest in the share market, but the first thing that you ask is, okay, if you invest in share market today, if it comes, what you have invested comes down, whether you are capable to absorb that kind of risk, then if you can afford, then we can discuss about what kind of risk that you can expose. But generally, most of the time, Sri Lanka, it's always they like to preserve the capital and on top of that risk. So we offer most, and that's why our money market fund is the most popular fund with 80 billion. So investors will want to because it's relatively it gives close to a fixed deposit return, and you can withdraw anytime like a savings account. So that's more comfortable, Sri Lanka. But if you want to move up from that, then we can discuss with other options.
Of course. And talking about the services you offer now, because you mentioned about the money market fund, you mentioned about the technologies that are actually being involved in the services. So what type of technology have you incorporated?
Well, in terms of the fund management industry in Sri Lanka, we have used technology. At the beginning itself, we got down a good system, international system that is used by foreign fund managers. So that is one of the best systems in the world. So we are using that to make sure that the clients get the best service and make sure that the transactions and everything is recorded perfectly. And in addition to that, we are moving forward. We want to give clients online facility. So we are at the moment we are in a project to upgrade our online platform. We want to go into mobile, and we might even connect it to. We are looking at connecting it to the bank side, so clients can use in the apps, the mobile app of the bank NEOS. They might be able to use fund transfer. So because we have a good parent company like NDB is a strong brand, we are going to use that to support our services. That's one way. So that's one of the things. And in order to have more efficiency in terms of our operations, we are looking at RPA, robotic process automation, things like that. So we want to implement that and then make sure that client transactions, everything is recorded, efficiency is brought in. So we can focus, our staff can more focus on servicing the clients and advising them. That's the important thing.
Yes, I think, like you mentioned, placing the clients first and actually working towards their benefit has benefited you as well. Yes. So it has been a mutual benefit.
Yes.
And that's good to see. Now, of course, like I said, beginning of a new year, 2021 just dawned on us. But of course, we have to look back. We have to take the lessons of the last year. What were some of the highlights from 2020, the good and the bad?
Well, 2020 was, I would say, one of the most challenging periods for any organization because we had to face one of the worst pandemics in the history. Because we were never used to lockdowns, we had to stay at home. We had to stay at home for weeks. So I mean, we are not used to that kind of thing, and so that's really changed how we work, how we operate. And of course, I don't think any one of us were prepared for that as organizations or as individuals. But I mean, as an organization, I'm proud to say that we were able to soon react to that and make sure that clients won't get any disruption on service. So that sort of adaptation was required for everyone. Be quickly adapt yourself to the new environment. So technology was going to be a key role because I think now most of us had to get used to working through remotely, like using Zoom or having Zoom meetings or Teams meetings or something like that, rather than having face-to-face meetings. So the way we work, operate, had to get changed. I mean, that's been one of the challenges that we had to face. And apart from that, of course, a lot of industries had to suffer. I mean, you take the hospitality industry, you take the hotels, you take transportation, you take even healthcare, because people couldn't go to hospitals and there was some sort of struggling, and the manufacturing exports. So things like that changed. Now, for example, I think the most affected globally the industries are the aviation and leisure or tourism. So those sectors had got affected. So and maybe even places like things like entertainment. You can go to a cinema. So there are various sectors that got affected. Of course, there's other side also. There are some other companies that tried. Technology companies are taking off. You take a company like Amazon is like taking off globally. I mean, so that's kind of opportunities will be there, because and then especially the healthcare side, the personal protective equipment manufacturers, the people who are manufacturing face masks to sanitizers, those has come up. And then you take the pharmaceutical side, medicines, and that's getting so there are new industries emerging, because as like until this COVID hit, we were not really thinking about the importance of the hospitals, or the people who are working in the healthcare sector, or the importance of healthcare side. But now it's very important, right? I mean, even as countries, the investment that is required for healthcare services is important. And now on the other side, the education side, kids are not going to school. They have to start working from study at home from remotely. I don't know how effective that's going to be, and what kind of impact that might have in the long term. I mean, so because
I think it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, because initially, yes, remote working or doing lecture, listening to classrooms or online may be working, but over a period of about say 3 to 6 months, even kids will get bored, and effectiveness is to be tested yet. I mean, it can be tested, I think, in maybe this year, end of this year, how effective the online learning is going to be. Yeah, so
I think that's a lot to do with self-motivation and things like that. Now, something important you said that I want to highlight. You said about industries. Now, you are in wealth management. You do actually have a lot of experience looking at companies and industries in general. When you're looking at a company, what are the key things that you look towards?
In terms of under the current situation,
or any situation, just generally,
we generally look at the sustainability of that company, how their processes work, how good they operate, the management team, the governance structures, things like that, how reliable their operation, and whether, now one of the things is whether you have to see whether that environment is supportive. For example, whether you are in the right industry, the industry that you are in, because that could be the industry could be a dying industry. So industry is important, and then what kind of impact the environmental impact that has on that industry is also important, and how that company is moving. So there are various things. Now, for example, if we invest in a company for fixed income product, or even for a equity product, our investment team will visit that company, interview the management, and see whether how it operates, to understand, and then they will do research of how good that company is. So only after doing that evaluation, we won't rely on publicly published information. We will analyze and see whether that information is correct and whether it's reliable, so for us to go and invest. So which a normal investor won't be able to do it.
You have to go in person and see what's what.
Yes.
And I asked this because now you talked about what the opportunities are a little bit as well, 2021. What do you recommend for a company to face into 2021? What steps do you really advise them to take if they're a small business or a medium business?
I think you have to see what industry you are in first. I mean, for example, if you are in hotels, I don't know what to look at. So because then you have to look at the surviving, because some industry will be a surviving game. Some industries it will have to be say you can move on. One other thing
like retail.
So retail now at the moment in Sri Lanka, for example, as a country, we are restricted with imports. I mean, we are working, so we have to work. We are working from homegrown market, moving towards a homegrown to a certain extent. So in that sense, the stock, the getting goods and transportation is going to be a key factor, as well as the funding and the market. So there are various factors that could impact, because the retail side now, some of the retail segments are not working because there's no demand. But there can be some other, for example, essentials, you still have a demand, but maybe luxury items you may not have a demand at certain point. So things like that has to be done. Then, but I think most importantly, transportation is key. The cost is going to be a key factor, and then the other one is the technology as well.
Yeah.
How much of technology you're going to use.
Well, speaking from experience, I think, of course, incorporating everything like that into your business, I think hopefully they will grow that. And of course, any tips for our viewers, personal finance, wealth management?
Well, from wealth management point of view, when there's chaos, always there's opportunity. I mean, I've been always saying that. As a if just because you have chaos, I mean, you don't have to be worried. There will always be opportunity. So you have to carefully look at what sort of opportunity will come on and pick the right opportunities. And that's where we really come in to help for investors or for individuals, where because we can guide them through the proper advice. So I think you have to be watchful for your opportunities in the coming future, because though we'll have to stay with this situation for maybe till end of this year, but still you should be optimistic, because I mean, there will always be opportunity, and then you have to work towards, because we have to work with the new norm. I mean, you can't, just because there's a virus, we can't just stay at home, and so we'll have to move on. So I think we'll have to find ways to move on in a more safer manner as well as productive manner.
Adapt, survive. Survive and grow.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Perera, for that valuable information. That was Mr. Ruwan Perera, the Chief Operating Officer of NDB Wealth Management Limited, with us today here on Business Today. Thank you for joining us. That is it for today's program.